Welcome to episode 27 of Back Pass with Ras. And this is just Ras here today. No young blood or resident young man with me. It's all going to be old school talk, proper old school. And this week's show, a bit special. I've named it Are There City Fans? Because whenever we post anything about Manchester City on our page, or we have any live chat about Manchester City, about English football, and Manchester City comes about, and we talk about fans, people always ask, are there Manchester City fans? But I know for sure there are Manchester City fans around, and it's a pleasure to know two of them. They're on the show. First of all, I got Haizam here. I think Haizam and me we met a long time ago when just before City won their first league title, and I remember it was before the Manchester derby. It at Etihad. Nowadays known as Etihad, but back then I think was it City of Manchester Stadium. Haizam?
City Manchester. Yes.
Yeah, that one won by Vincent Company's header, 1-0 win, and that season he went on to win the league on the last day, Aguero's goal. So that was when I got to know of Haizam. And Helmi, of course, got to know of him through our Facebook page, Backpass with Ras.
Yeah.
Facebook page. He's been an active commentator on our posts. And also through one of our live shows, Weekend Preview, he spoke up about City, and that's when I got to know that Helmi is also a City fan. How are you doing, Helmi?
My fine, thank you. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been great knowing, talk about retro football. Um, it's quite
Yeah.
different to know that some people still talk about.
Yeah, I guess it's maybe people of our generation will be most probably doing this at a bar or coffee shop somewhere. We get together as friends, and then we all be talking about one thing, and then one thing leads to another. And I'm talking football specifically, not any other things. But when it comes to football, always one thing leads to another, and some memories we have of back then, and we used to do this, we used to do that. So this is what this show is all about. But of course, when I have my young blood and resident young men, they always link it to the present. They bring some reality or the present to the show. But today, it's all me. So it's purely old school today. So, guys, I got to ask you this question. The beginning for both of you, Haizam and Helmi. We'll start. Haizam, share with us, when do you become a Manchester City fan and why?
Okay. So I grew up because my dad was a United supporter. So childhood I was typical back then. I think the 80s a lot of kids were United supporters because they had the panache of Cantona and whatnot. So on top of supporting United when I was younger, I was supporting Sembawang Rangers as well.
Okay.
So I've related more to Sembawang Rangers rather than United in that sense. So secondary school 96, I started to fall out of love with football in a bit. So there was one time I was into music and into Championship Manager.
Ah,
Yeah. So then I realized that I found there's another Manchester team lah. Then Manchester City. Then I was like, okay lah. Then took over. Played Championship Manager. Took Manchester City. Then I think everyone knows that when it comes to music, I think the group that is closely associated with City has been Oasis. And I think at that point of time, Oasis back in the 90s was huge. It's either your team Oasis or team Blur. So I was definitely team Oasis lah. So me and a school friend of mine who was a Oasis fan as well, who's a City fan as well, Fadli, shout out to him. So we were the two City fans lah in that sense. So I think back then, without the social media and internet, I think it was quite difficult to support City. And I think the closest that we had was BBC radio or even dial-up internet. And also, I think the closest for us is Oasis and Championship Manager lah. So for me, 1998, I became a proper City fan. Starting to look out for them, and I think there was a time where they always say lah that it's fun to support the underdogs in that sense.
Okay. Yeah. You're talking about Sembawang Rangers fan. Do you catch our last episode of Yazi Yassin?
Oh yeah, I saw. I mean, Yazid Yassin, I would say one of the legends in in Rangers. And I remembered one classic scene that his family was always there for all the home games and the away games, and his father and his family will always be sitting at the Ibrahim No's corner.
Okay.
And the funny part always is, I think for at that point of time, I was still in secondary school. It was sec 3, sec 4. So I remembered his father actually walked away from the family, went near to the railing of the stand. I
Uh-huh.
think maybe about 10 meters, 10, 15 meters away from the family, and start spurring vulgarities at the referee. Then the family was laughing, and then so I can see that, when you have that family support and the fans really love what Yassin did. I think I would say that he's really one of the Rangers legend, like, even though he played for Woodlands Wellington. But rivalry aside, I think it's different context, compared to talking about European clubs and Singapore
Local
clubs.
clubs, yeah.
Yeah, local clubs. Very difficult to talk about that rivalry lah.
Hmm. Okay, Helmi, yourself, when do you become a City fan and why?
Okay, before I just want to say about just now when Haizam say when he found out that it's the two Manchester team, he sounds
Yeah.
like
Sounds like Robinho. Ah, yes.
Yeah. I did Robinho before Robinho did Robinho.
Manchester United, but I end up joining City. Yeah,
Yeah.
the joke back then. Okay, anyway, yeah, I've been a City fan since the late 80s, going to 90s, early 90s, I can say.
Okay.
It was Nile Queen era,
Hmm.
blurry striker up front. Like Haizam, it's also because of Oasis. Yeah,
Okay.
exposed me to that, and of course the mama shop at the end of Holland Village, near the Holland Village. I always
Mhm.
pick up, and I like Haizam also. I like underdogs. So
Mm.
basically, blue color being the light blue color, which is also my favorite color. Yeah, I mean, Oasis plays a big part in me supporting City as well. I want to
Okay.
know it's all about because both the brothers is like talking about the club and everything every time they talk about this club, so there must be something special about this club.
Yeah.
So when I watched them play, the time was Nile Queen, David White, and then Gary Flitcroft, yeah,
Yeah. Gary Flitcroft. Yeah.
Gary Flitcroft, and of course Keith Curl, and the two full
Difficult. Mm.
well, and Richard Edghill, right?
Yeah.
Richard Edghill. So basically, it's not attractive like now, but the that's what that's how it started, basically,
Mm. Mm.
and much influence from Oasis and magazines like Match and
Yes.
Yeah.
That should,
Match and
yeah.
shoot. Yeah.
That
Those
should,
magazines,
yeah.
right?
Those good. Those, kids nowadays will not appreciate. Will not be able to enjoy the fact that we had to find about other clubs through that
Yeah.
magazines like
Yeah.
Shoot,
Yeah.
Match.
Correct. We broaden our horizons through that. Yeah.
and you know what? Before Championship Manager, I got to know Play by Mail Manager, which I played.
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
weekly where you got to pay by mail and then set up your squad sheet, that
Uh-huh.
kind of, and it's using snail mail. Would you believe that?
Okay.
Yeah. Remember this?
So that is how we got close to Premier League, the English League. Sorry, yeah, back then.
Hmm. Yeah, I know some good memories actually. Even teletext, right? You could get updates through teletext as well,
Yeah.
right? On the scores, latest player signings.
Yeah.
Teletext probably was more wholesome because you tell you about other leagues as well.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, thanks for sharing that, guys. Okay, I think to appreciate your the both of you being City fans, to appreciate it, I think we got to visit the sufferings, the low points as a City fan. We talk about Maine Road first. Your time at Maine Road. I mean, some people, there's always this question, right? The people say, "Oh, I'm a City fan," and then the counter question is, "Do you know where Maine Road is?" And then they're like, So then okay, this guy, when was he a City fan, or when did he become a City fan? So yeah, Main Road, the old stadium where Manchester City played their home matches at.
Mhm.
For those who do not know, so that's a bit of an info for you. Yeah. So share with us your lowest point or the low points that you have witnessed as a City fan. Help me.
Yeah. My first point was when we got relegated from the first division, and then we go to the second tier of English football,
Hmm.
and then
That was from the Premier League. You got relegated, right?
Yes, Premier League.
95, I think.
95. It should be 95.
because 98 we got promoted to the promoted back, right?
Mm.
Yeah,
It
promoted
was
back.
it was that time where we were really known as the yo-yo club, you know, like
Mm.
we always go up and then go down, go up and go down, and it's always that drama of, you know, that the club, we were not a large, we were not a huge club compared to nowadays, you know, like I think before
Yeah.
it's always about like, oh, we try to get ourselves not relegated. It's always that 40 points magic number. You know,
Yeah.
every season, you know, we were always talking about, oh, you know what, 40 points, 40 points. We hit 40 points, we are safe. 40 points, we are safe.
They're happy with surviving,
Yeah.
surviving. But
And
after
also, I think important to take note, back then there were 22 teams playing in the Premier League, not
Mm.
20. So you had a very long season.
so yeah, that was the lowest point, basically being relegated to the third tier, right? Third tier of English
Mm.
football. So
Mm.
Division 2.
Division two, yes. Back then, Division two, yeah, Division two.
Yes.
Back then was
Yeah.
so that was the lowest point, basically.
Mm. How do you follow matches when they got relegated? Then, like, go down to Division One and then Division Two. How do you follow how
Like I say,
City did?
like I say, the mama shop at the Holland Village there.
Okay. All right. Cool. For yourself, Haizam, your lowest point as a City fan when you were playing at Maine Road.
I think is what Hilmi say. I think is that fact that when you know that your team gets relegated, and then whenever the big clubs come for the players, players leaving, and there's always this drama of uh, us being the club where managers get sacked,
Mm.
inept managers taking charge of the club.
Mm.
We get players who basically were rubbish lah. We did exchange players, and then the striker didn't perform. It's always that. And I think for me personally was that we had for me personally, I think Elmi know lah. One of my favorite players is King Klatzi, Georgie King
Yeah,
Klatzi,
King Clancy. Yeah.
because I know he's the Georgian Maradona. And then
Mm.
we to have that player at City when we are rubbish is a testament of how much we have grown as a club, from that era, from the
Mm.
dark days of mediocrity, being the yo-yo club, having this type of play, and then we have a manager who does not know how to play him, you
Uh,
know and then you see, and then you see this, that you cannot adopt, you cannot adapt to this player cannot adapt to your tactics, and then we have to let him go. I think that was when King Klazi left, and then we have like players like Rosler,
mm.
those really hardworking players, but we couldn't get the result.
The
We couldn't
flair,
get
lah.
a
You
win.
were missing the
Yeah,
flair, right?
yeah.
Mm.
We cannot even get a win out of 11 players.
Mm.
And that was really the sad part of like asking ourselves, like like why would we still want to support this, when we see across the across Manchester, you see United, have all the players that I think the old United fans will know, like, oh, for every position there is always this sure starter,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I think that's for me personally, is that darkest day of when City was at Main Road.
Mm.
Mm.
Okay. And now from the darkest days, let's get to happier times. Happier times at Main Road. What are the best memories you have of City when they played there?
No, exactly Main Road, Wembley.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Game. It was at Wembley, not actually Main Road,
Yeah.
but in the playoff final
Okay.
against. Yeah, that was the highest point during the Main Road era. So
Okay.
yeah, that basically eclipsed even Aguero's winner.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry,
highest.
I didn't catch the opponent that you defeated. Which team do you defeat in that final in Wembley?
Gillingham.
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 Gillingham. Yes. Okay. Gillingham City. All right.
Yeah,
Okay. That was to go into the Premier League back again, or what?
yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
99, right?
So that's the first division playoff, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that 99, when United fans were celebrating the treble, the Champions League, City fans were celebrating the fact that we did a pre-Aguero moment of getting back to the Premier League in such
Mm.
drama.
Mm.
Kevin
Okay.
Sherlock, I think, got
Mm.
for the cut the division to
Equalizer.
to one. After that,
Betul.
it was caught by Paul Dikoff to make it to penalty shootout.
Betul.
Yeah.
Paul Dikoff, yeah, all those classic
He
names.
was the first player of my Man City jersey.
The first player on your Man City jersey, you got Paul Dikoff.
Dikoff.
So,
Nice.
yeah.
Okay. What about a certain the last Manchester derby in Maine Road? Was there some happy memories for you guys?
When you're talking about the
The last the that we beat United, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the icing on the cake is because we beat the is a derby. You know, I think
yeah.
even for City fans, personally for me, when it comes to the derby, it's always a high point of being a City fan. You know, with
Uh,
the fact that, you know, like when you talk about United at that point, that era, you know, was so strong. You know, was the team to beat, and then you have that poorer sibling of a club
Mm,
called Man City. You know, and then
mm,
whenever you beat United, that satisfaction can never be replicated. Even till today, if you look at it, like if you look at the all the matches, right? I think City fans, when we look at United, the Manchester derby will always be most important. You know, I think you cannot take that away. You know, I think it's always about the time where this is for all the times that we were in a way second best.
yeah.
So beating them has always been that a spark, you know, that shining light in otherwise, you know, the yo-yo season lah. You know, I
mm.
think Hilmi can agree. Like I think we may suck the whole season, but if we beat United, right, home and away, right,
It's the best thing.
is the best. that's how City fans of the olden days feel. Like we can be shit, you know, we can be battling relegation season after season, but to beat United home and away, right, and with a comprehensive score, it's always that feeling lah. It's not an icing on the cake. It's always like the bright spark in that season lah.
In that season, yeah, I
Mm.
understand. I think that time when you beat United it was probably after an 11-year gap, if I'm not mistaken, that you've not beaten United, and then to beat them on your last Manchester derby at Main Road, I think must have been special for you guys. I remember the crowd going wild. Sean Goter, was a magical day for the City fans.
Yeah, yeah. Till now, I think Sean Gotter still talks about that. Even during his interviews at CTT, he also talks about that.
Okay, you've already touched about some players. I want to know who you felt were the best players in that era when you were playing at Main Road, and also your best managers. Because I mean, Haizam has already spoken about in-app managers, but I'm sure there were some good managers you had.
Oh,
Joe Roy,
Joe Royal,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
What about
Joe Roy.
Peter Reid?
Terry, okay. I mean, okay. And then I remember Kevin Keegan, even though it's not that good, but I feel that that part of, still feel that manages the club.
Hmm.
And even though he's a shit manager, I'm sorry, my mom, but still, he's very passionate. That's what I like about him. Even though the team is doing well, yeah.
Okay. Yourself, Haizam, are you struggling for names, or you got some off the back
I
of your
mean, for
mind?
me, of that era, the have always been King Klatze, Rosler, Dikoff. I think they are the three for me. But in that era, it's quite difficult for me to pick which are the best players for me. I think for manager, I agree with Helmi. Kevin Keegan brings big names to City when he was managing City. But a good manager, I wouldn't say he's a good manager lah. You know,
Hmm.
I mean it's being polite in that sense. Yeah, I'm being polite by saying that he's not a good manager in that sense because he comes with the fact that he can pull the big names coming to City, but to manage the team he could have done better lah.
Okay.
But then again, we could understand why in that sense that it was quite difficult to manage a club which is yo-yoing up and down, with no
Mm.
consistency. There's no gameplay in that sense, so it's quite difficult. It's a tough job for him lah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Help me, you want to name some players that are your favorites?
Obviously, Kikladze. Then maybe Benabia,
Benabia, Ali Benabia. Yeah.
and then of course I remember now that much, and probably there was a part when Michael Johnson start playing,
Oh,
but
Michael Johnson.
Michael Johnson.
Oh my gosh. I think
still
I
that,
think he's very underrated.
that is one of the
Uh, okay, Helmi, part of what you said couldn't be heard at all. I need to
oh, is
repeat
it?
what you said. Yeah, yeah,
Like I say, Kiklanzi, and then Ali Benabia,
yeah,
and then there's Michael Johnson when he starts,
yeah,
to play,
yeah.
and then he just slowly fades away. That is one of the disappointment,
Hmm.
to see the homegrown just slip away to know what. Maybe
What about people like Nile Queen?
nothing. Yeah, he's one of the reason that I supported City actually, because
Hmm.
90s, I believe, early 80s and late 80s and 90s, uh, there's always the big center forward, like John
Yeah, yeah.
Hunter was.
Tall forward.
Mm.
Yeah,
Tall, the tall target means.
yeah. Correct.
Again, those. Yeah, now Queen is a decent forward up front.
Hmm. All right. Nice. Keith Curl, your captain. Any thoughts on him?
I know. Any thoughts?
Of course, I mean, if you look at it, where any of the City captains are on that era, I think when you lead the club, it's really it's a passion for them, like, trying to rally the other players. I think in that 99, I think one of the shout out, I think, is Andy Morrison. Andy Morrison was really he really bleed City, you know, rally the players, especially in the 99 playoff, and I think
Hmm.
uh, the closest comparison that we can give to him in the modern era is actually company. You know,
Ah,
Yeah.
he doesn't only lead on the field. He leads in his professionalism. He leads in such the way that off the field, he shows that he is really a captain. He's not a captain only on the pitch. And I know I think we all agree that captains are the extension of how the manager is. But if
hmm.
you get a manager who's not capable of leading the team, it's going to be very difficult for the 11 players to actually connect, to play together as a unit lah.
Hmm. Okay.
Mm.
So from Maine Road, now you migrate to a new ground, City of Manchester Stadium, as you also known then. Do you feel that this migration brought new luck to City?
Hmm.
Haizam.
Luck. Oof. I think I wouldn't say luck, because if you look at it, right, especially for when you move to a new stadium, which is not even near where your old stadium was.
Hmm.
I think the environment of uprooting from the holy mecca of your club's existence, definitely there will be divided opinions lah. And
Okay.
especially, you see, like when you talk about the City of Manchester Stadium, it
Yeah.
was built for the Commonwealth Games.
Commonwealth game.
It,
Yeah.
it was not a football
Ground.
specific stadium, yeah, ground.
Hmm.
Only that they did all the renovations to where they are right now. Then I think the fact that it's not located where, like, if you look at all the old English stadiums, you
Yeah.
talk about like Everton, you talk about Liverpool, it's located in the residential areas,
Yeah.
Mm.
but the City of Manchester Stadium is actually located, I would say, maybe about 5-10 minutes away drive from the nearest residential. So
Okay.
I think the soul, the environment, the atmosphere, when uprooting from Main Road to City of Manchester, definitely will have an effect lah. Yeah,
Hmm.
a big impact in that sense lah. So I think talking it to be a lucky ground, it's I wouldn't say it's a lucky ground, because coming
Hmm.
back again to the point when you talk about the club, that we were still not a force to be reckoned with. Remember that we are still a yo-yo club.
Hmm.
We didn't have that foundation. We don't know what is the style of play we have right now. So I think making it to be a lucky move, I would say it's very far fetched lah. But I
Okay.
think it is really an important milestone for City, because to grow as a club, to be one of the, to join the big league in that sense, I think that move was really essential.
Hmm. But by the way, curious to know, is Main Road still there?
Okay.
Them.
Main Road is no longer there. They have already converted it to a residential council area lah. So
Oh, okay.
I mean they still retain the essence of the area. So I was lucky to be able to visit the Main Road ground lah. So
Okay. Before it was
the center,
demolished?
no, it was already demolished in 2017.
Right. Okay.
So the center ground, the center of the pitch is actually a park for the residents there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So the way they structure the streets where the Kipex stands, the main road, the symbols are still there lah.
Mm.
The way the building is structured in such a way that if you go into the center of the pitch, which is the park, you can in a way imagine that there used to be a stadium there.
Mm. Oh, nice, man.
So
That's good
yeah,
engineering.
so the way it's being done is that if as a City fan, if you go there, if you close your eyes, you can imagine that okay, this used to be where the stadium was. You can have that feeling. Yeah. So they still retain a lot of links to Man City. They call it the Champions Way. They name the park. I can't remember what's the name of the park, but there's a lot of connections to Man City of the old in Main
Okay.
Road.
All right. Okay. Helmi, have you been to Main Road?
I want to ask Haizam, you've been there. I mean, what happened to the Kipak stand?
Oh, so they demolished everything. What they built is the houses. Basically, they will call it it's not exactly a council houses lah. It's just that walk up apartments where the way that it's being built that it's akin to like a football. Okay, it's like how you imagine our Tampines Hub.
Mm.
That kind of structure where that it's a stadium, but but it's not a stadium as per se. It's just the residential apartments lah. Yeah,
Okay.
but when you stand at the center of the park, which is the center of the field in the old Main Road, you can visualize in your head how the stadium used to look like. Yeah.
Mm.
Yes.
So they made it make it a place where the former mark is there. They didn't demolish as per se. They didn't abandon it lah. They really make use of the space lah to make it residential lah.
Okay. So, just a curious thing. I mean, we talk about owners now. Now you've got a new Thai owner. Not now, but I mean then when you were in City of Manchester, you have got a Thai owner, Thaksin Shinawatra, and I mean it's close to us. From being in Singapore, I think it's close to us. It's from our region. But who was the previous owner of Manchester City before Thaksin took over?
Who was the guy? Shuck. It's at the back of my head.
This becomes a quiz question now.
Yeah, it's becoming because I think that period when City was being taken over by Thaksin, right? Let me just try to recall who was the owner. It was it's actually at the back of my head right now.
Gotta bring it to the front now, bro.
Okay. So this Francis Lee was the chairman. So,
Francis Lee, by the way, a legend, City legend, right?
Yeah. Francis Lee, David Bernstein, was the executive lah. So there was these three of them. So Francis Lee, before Thaksin took over, he I would say that to kind of like relate, he's like the Portsmouth owner, previous owner. Like I think because he had big plans.
Yeah.
I think because as a former player, also I think the dream of making City a powerhouse was there. But I think when it comes to the finances, there were a lot of drama lah. Like what I mentioned earlier on lah.
Yeah.
Even I think Hilmi know like City without drama is not City. Man City without any drama, whether it's on the field, off the field, is not Man City.
Yes.
So, to be a City fan, you always have to remind yourself that being a City fan is hazardous for your health.
I saw your Facebook post on that, the photo, yeah.
Yeah, being a City fan, regardless whether the old fans or, if you're the new fans of nowadays, you will need to expect drama to happen. I think last season, is the best example.
Mm.
Definitely.
Uh, so Man City equals drama. That is a
Yeah.
certainty.
Okay, talking about this era then, Thaksin's era, what are your memories?
Thaksin era. Basically, Thaksin, the feel when he brought the three ties to Man City, a field
Mhm.
Oh
project.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay, fail project, yeah. You remember who they were?
I know one of them is still playing, right? What's his name? What's his name? I forgot. He's still playing now. One of the players.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. And then I can't remember. I can't remember the Thai players.
all right,
Just
never mind, it's okay.
But the good thing with Thaksin is that he got Sven Goran Eriksson as the manager. So you see when the way
that,
it's being done is that you get big name managers to the club. That's where you attract the big name players in that
Players,
sense.
yeah. Mm.
Mm. But
that's
I think what
important.
like what Hilmi said lah, Thaksin's reign as the owner for City comes is the drama lah. You know, it's more than football lah. It's not about him being a City fan. I think it's more
Yeah,
because that like when I think at that point of time when you're a when you're a politician, when you're a leader, you want to in a way diversify your portfolio. I think
uh,
this is the way to do lah.
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, and also Thailand's a football mad country as well.
Yes.
That relates, yeah. Yeah,
He,
Helmi,
he's
you're
trying,
saying something?
he basically is trying to back the the Thai football as well to
Mm,
shade with a big name club. So
mm.
this is more of I I I believe it's business, but as well as more to self interest rather than
Then the good of the club.
yes,
Mm.
yes.
I
But
think that point of time, that era was a lot of I think a lot of the clubs were looking for foreign investors.
yes,
Uh,
So I think and you know that in that era the Asian market is a growing market.
mm,
yeah,
With a with a met football met continent. English Premier League is the league that I think a lot of the Southeast Asian countries can relate because of the language. So
yeah.
I think Thaksin coming to City was a pulling factor of like, let's get the ties to be
City
to be
fans.
city centric lah.
Uh,
And then when you bring Man City to play at Thailand, you're the fans, and I think it's a clear. I think Thaksin saw it because United started the trend, of seeing Asia as the market. So I
mm.
think if you cannot beat them, join them lah. You know, and you look and I think when you look at it now, fast forward to now, I think a lot of the clubs know that the gold mine is where is Asia and USA.
North
yes.
America, yeah.
North America.
Yeah. Okay. Any notable achievements in Thaksin's era? Anything that you have won in that time? Were there some relegations as well you suffered in the at Man City of Manchester?
I
We
about basically I can't remember my remember any.
Hmm.
But I feel that we still being yo around still normal club until the takeover from the Dubai.
Dubai.
But I remember
mm.
so when was he when did he join City? I can't remember. I remember two names George Weah and Anelka when they joined City. That was
He came in at about 2007 2008.
yeah. So yeah, those
The,
names are basically uh, the names that stand out. I
Okay.
don't mm,
Let me just look it up for you on
so the
where.
2007 when Thaksin came,
Yeah.
so this was where the period where Sven Goran Eriksson brought his pulling factors lah. Got Fowler into the picture, David James, Andy Cole,
Hmm.
Steve McManaman. So like what I mentioned previously, big name manager, formerly England manager, knows the players that he wants. So bringing in players to come to City based on the fact that buying I mean the joke of buying their way to success lah.
Mm.
I mean that was that period lah.
I remember
But then,
I remember when Thaksin took over, there was like an overhaul of the team. I mean, there's like so many more than 10 players went out.
mm,
Right, correct. That was what I remembered. There's like we were Trevor Sinclair all went out. I remember
Oh yeah.
that was it was an overhaul. This what their his reign. Basically, I mean, uh, they got rid of a lot of players and bring in a few names.
Mm. And
Uh,
yeah, sorry, you're saying
that was quite a significant change, lah. I mean,
a
being
lot
ambitious,
high turnover lah. To mean
very
you
big
mean
turnover.
yeah.
When Thaksin took over the club, it was quite a period when there was high turnover.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. So talking about players, you name some. Um, which were the best players in that time,
Mm.
or even managers?
yes.
In fact, you like Sven Goran Eriksson's time at City? How you felt he did as a City manager?
Uh,
Okay, he did well lah. To be honest with you, with the drama behind the scenes with Thaksin, I think he managed to do the best that he can. But I think because he was known as the England manager, so
Yeah.
that expectations have always been there.
Mm.
So it's quite difficult when you have that expectations from fans and critics alike. It's really difficult to work with that. I think that pressure finally got to him, and the drama that was happening behind, in the back room, with Thaksin, and then the political drama. So I think it's very difficult for a manager to work when you know that your owner is not there most of the time,
Ah.
you know.
mm,
So it's really difficult, and then the fact that I think towards the end of Thaksin's reign, the financial difficulty that City had, because
Yeah.
we were selling players left, right, and center. We were dismantling the team, just because the club financially is struggling. This disrupted the manager's ability to get his best 11, you know.
Mm.
And I think for Sven, when he left also, I think he knew like that there's so much that he can do. So
Mm.
when Mark Hughes came, that is also another point of contention, because a former United
Yeah. I was going
legend
to
as
ask
per
you on that.
se.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's really like I say lah, drama. City without drama is not City.
it's part of like
Yeah,
the DNA.
it's part of it lah. It's part of the deal
Fabric.
of one thing is what.
It's part of the fabric of the club.
Yeah.
Okay, Mark Hughes. How's that? I mean, Helmy would have had memories of Mark Hughes scoring against City. Now he's your
Yeah,
manager. What would you have thought of seeing him as a manager?
I took it openly. I mean, he's quite a name to have, even though he's from United. But then to have him as a manager, you know him, and I mean, most fans know him like as a player. He's very passionate,
Yeah,
and have a
strong player.
manager. Yeah, to have a former player who is a passionate, someone who's passionate. You know that he's someone that you may need in the club, to push,
Mm.
especially with the numbers of changes that we have. So basically, for someone to be at the club with that kind of passion, it it somehow like we feel like we don't. He's a United player. He's more of a motivator, I believe.
Mm.
To move to the next step. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna throw some names out at you guys. So you guys gotta let me know what you felt about these players. Haizam spoke about all these English players: Andy Cole, Steve McManaman, Robbie Fowler, David James. Do you think that when they came to City, they were already over the hill?
It's all about the
Uh,
money lah.
it's like,
It's always about the money. It was never about, like, if you look at it, it was even for Andy Cole. Like,
Yeah,
you are known as one of the club legends in United coming to City. Even if you're talking about Michael, you definitely would not.
Even Michael,
Even like I think Dietmar Hamann, I think for the older City fans will never see them as a City player because you are in a way that you come to the club at the at the twilight of your career.
yeah.
The money was good because we were throwing money to the players, because based on your track record, as one of the best players, the league had to offer at that point of time, in the peak of career. So I wouldn't say that they did well, but
Yeah.
you look at it like with Helmi saying that, we have players who bleed blue in that sense, we have Berkovic, who came to City,
Eyal
paid
Berkovic,
his guts. Eyal Berkovic, we have
Israeli,
players who
right?
can, yeah, Israel. He did the job, Sylvan Petrov. Sorry, Martin Petrov. Sorry, is it Martin
Martin
Petrov?
Petrov, yeah.
Martin Petrov.
Martin Petrov, yeah.
Martin Petrov. Yeah, Martin Petrov. He came to City.
He
No
was
one knows about how. Yeah, no one knows what he was capable of. But he played his heart out for us. So we needed players who had heart to play for the club, not about taking the last big paycheck. Just
Mm.
because we are convinced. Mm.
say that I remember Craig Bellamy was quite a decent signing for us. So
Craig Bellamy, yeah.
Mm.
he played. We know that he always played his 100% of whoever he played for. So signing him was so a very good for City. So, yeah. So
And
this
yeah,
kind
carry
of
on,
players,
carry on.
this kind of players really helped us in building our portfolio. Even though they are not really so-called big name players like Anelka, no, even George Villa, I don't feel like he's have
Yeah.
much position.
No.
Yeah, he wasn't the Josh Weah of AC Milan. I know. I
Yeah.
agree.
He was basically like the US league.
Yeah. The start of the US League only compressed to Man City lah, a club lah, a club lah, of getting all these over the hill players, who we think that could do a last hurrah, last hurrah, pulling the last dance, but it's at the end of the day it didn't materialize lah. But I think thinking back, I can understand what we are trying to do. We wanted to have the fans believing that glory era was on the up, with new owner, but then I think the drama that came with it was something that really shook everyone lah, to get to the point that it's happening all over again lah, so it's
Okay.
really that part where I think the older fans can relate and understand that what's new,
All right. What about players? Sean Wright Phillips.
Okay, yeah, he's basically a city boy. I mean, he played his heart out when he was at City since he was young, and then
Yeah.
he bled blue all the way.
Okay.
And
Trevor Sinclair.
Trevor Sinclair, basically when he was a good player, and I think when he he moved out when he was like 30 early 30s, I think. Yeah. He was quite a significant player as well during that time. But other than that, yeah, maybe Sean Wright really deserve a higher recognition. Yeah, than definitely.
And the Brazilians.
Not
You got
Brazilian.
Robinho, Joe,
Ilano.
Elano. Yeah.
Ilano is one of the best midfielders we ever seen.
Yes,
Ilano,
correct.
one of the most skillful players I've seen. Yeah, besides Kiklanzi, of course. Yeah,
Okay.
so
So you felt Elano had a good time at City.
yes, very good time at City. The free kicks, most of the free kicks he take, brilliant, man. Yeah.
And the others, I guess they were there for the paycheck again. Joe,
you're right.
Robinho.
Robinho's when he first signed for City, I didn't believe it actually. I was
Yeah.
working and then
I couldn't believe it too.
me when I got to know, and I know it's it's a changing of times for City. That is quite significant. Robinho signing for City, even though he don't really, do much, but his transfer to City was a big point where City showing ambition.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's quite important as well. Yeah.
Okay. Your captain, Richard Dunn, good player.
Oh,
All right. Average. What do you think?
Haizam?
good player. I would say a good player. Only that I think uh when when I think with the investment, when the Abu Dhabi money came in,
Yeah.
Gary Cook did a lot of faux pas, saying that
Okay.
Richard Dunn is a player that I think Asian fans cannot relate.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But here's the thing lah, because if you are talking from a business perspective, yes, you cannot make the team multinational because
Yeah.
you still need to have that UK, the
British core,
English
right?
or British core.
Hmm.
Richard Dunn did his job. Granted, yes, he was the master of
Own
getting
goals.
getting own goals, red cards. But you need that bulldog kind of player because it's an
Hmm.
English game.
Yeah.
I think we have to respect that you need the flair players and you need the hardworking players.
Yeah.
You know,
Both British.
you cannot have 11 prima donnas. You cannot have 11. I mean, you can have 11 bulldogs. Then you play like Wimbledon lah. But
Yeah.
you must have a mix of that. You must have that mix of the flair players and also the players who will do the dirty job.
You
That's
must
where the
respect the
essence of
culture of the football.
yeah. Yeah, you must
Oh,
respect because you cannot put 11 superstars to work together because all of them will have their own egos to be sorted out with. And
Yeah.
if you have a manager who is not strong enough to manage this, it's bound for disaster lah.
Hmm.
um,
Fair enough. Shea Given, last player on my list.
she,
Good.
okay.
No good.
Good.
Happy. Yeah, good. All right. Haizam, you look a bit quizzical.
No, because I think that point of time because we had Casper Schmeichel.
Uh-huh.
So I think so I think that part where we were thinking about like, oh, Shea Given, came with a good reputation, but we are looking at whether with this so-called false dawn of having the foreign owners, the money coming in, right, will
Mm.
the youth players be affected? And I think we saw, like Stephen Island not
Yeah.
being given a
Stephen
chance, Michael
Island.
Johnson, just dropping out of the Sean Wright Phillips. But Sean Wright Phillips was not, we didn't want to sell him. It's just a matter that he knows that in order for him to grow he had to leave, and having a father who is a legend on his own himself, Ian Wright.
Yeah.
Of course, he
Yeah.
will say that you need to move in order for you to progress in your career.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think coming back about, I mean, that Sheikh Given did what he need to do. I respect him for what he did for City lah. As a
Mm.
keeper. I wouldn't say he's a bad goalkeeper. He's really one of the good goalkeepers that we have. And unfortunately, because of him being the first choice, we didn't see Casper Schmeichel's brilliance lah, in that sense lah.
Mm.
You know. Mm.
Even
Okay, guys. Yeah.
they still see Casper Michael as a up and coming, but to have a bigger name like Shea Given is basically uh, over him. It's gonna be
Mm.
obvious. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, I need both of you to name one player, underrated player. You can name him maybe from the time that you were a supporter at when they were playing at Maine Road or even at City of Manchester. But this is of course before the Abu Dhabi money. Who would you name as
Underrated.
underrated City player?
Mark Vivian Foe for me.
Oh, the late
A
Mark
great,
Vivian.
the late, yeah. I feel that he coming in as a lone player, uh, you know, he would have, I think, been that era of what N'Golo Kante is now.
Yeah,
You know,
Oh, yeah.
the fact that I mean, it's up for, like, for me personally, Mark Vivian Foe coming to City on loan, but he played his heart out as if he was a player of the club, on a permanent deal,
Hmm.
shows that he knows. I think the love that City fans have for him till now shows how much of a underrated player he was.
Yes.
I mean, if you think about it, right, like imagine that he didn't have that tragic death.
Yeah.
What kind of player he could have been. And I
Yeah.
feel personally he was the closest thing City had to N'Golo Kante is right now.
Hmm.
Mm.
That's a very good shout out. No, we've not mentioned him once at all in this show so far. So thanks, Haizam, for bringing that name up. Helmi, yourself, who would you say would be
My,
an underrated player?
I would say one of the Asians in City that would be
Oh,
Hari.
Sanjihai.
Sun Jihai. Oh,
uh,
I would,
okay, that's a nice name too.
I mean, some more being an Asian, it's very, very, it's seldom when you see during the era that an Asian player decides.
mm,
And before that was his name really stood out for me. He's been
Hmm.
always one at the back to cover. Yeah.
mm.
Yeah, yeah, it was a very hardworking player. I remember that Sun Jihai. He
Yeah.
went up and down the flanks, was never tiring as well. So great stamina.
Mm. Yeah.
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 Okay. So now moving on. These are questions prepared by one of my co-hosts, Joel. So I'm gonna ask his questions as well. Now you're moving on to your glory days, the start of your glory days, right? Which players, this. Okay, first of all, I'll talk about manager because I know the manager quite well from his time at Inter. Roberto Mancini. What
Mm.
impact did he make? Do you see it as okay as a progression? Okay, Mark Hughes, Sven Goran Eriksson, Mark Hughes, then Mancini. Do you see it as that when you were appointing him?
For me, I feel that we got a good manager in Mancini. And it's really a good progression because I think if you look at Sven, I know Sven, Stuart Pearce, Kevin Keegan, even the managers are in the yo-yo position. If you notice,
Uh-huh.
you know, only I think when we have Mancini into the picture,
He got
he
some
brought the
stability.
flair. Yeah, he bring that stability. He bring that ruthlessness of him. The Italian flair. The Italian I wouldn't say calmness, like the Italian
Mentality.
suaveness mentality. And we know that Italians, with the defense is the very first attack.
Yeah.
We type of play. So he brought that stability, which I appreciate it. But Mancini, on one hand he had this control, but when we talk about Balotelli, right, it feels that we're like, why are you giving that biasness in a bit? So it's really very even for me personally, it's really puzzling. But I have to give credit when it's due. Mancini was that catalyst of the that era of after that we got it right. The Arab owners got it right. Got him into being the city manager. You
Hmm.
know, I think that's the most important part, that he brought that stability, the Italian stability, the softness. Got the players to play as a team. We finally see City finally showing that potential.
Hmm.
Even though we had to throw money because everybody knows that the Arabs, the Abu Dhabi has a lot of money.
Yeah.
They call it the city tax. So we try to milk as much as possible lah. But Mancini
Hmm.
was that catalyst of the manager that we needed lah, that progression lah.
Hmm. Okay. Helmi from the
Uh,
manager. Yeah. Carry on.
Mancini. Okay. People always talk about Pep's way of football and
Yeah.
stuff. But actually, it started when Mancini took over. City have they trying to build their own brand of football.
Hmm.
Before Pep took over. Pep is basically the one who perfects or tweaks the system. Basically, really start thinking of playing possession football and stuff. So Mancini to me is the right decision to make him a manager. That during that time he did well. Just only the drama between him and Balotelli that makes it comedy. But other than that, I think he's a good manager. Even until now, I mean, before after that, he manages the Italian national team. I believe
Hmm.
he's still a very good manager and a good
Yeah.
signing for City back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he probably got a soft spot for Balotelli because he is the one that discovered him at Inter and brought him through to the first team. So maybe he felt that this guy has got a lot of potential. We got to get the best out of him. So maybe it was his way of trying to say, okay, I'll try and tolerate a bit of your BS and see, okay, maybe you show you're mature, you show yourself, your true self, and all. So I guess that's probably the way he was trying to approach it. Now we talk about players. We spoke about players that were, over the hill, that came for the money, but which were the right players that City signed on the way to success?
Hmm.
Wow, this is gonna be tough one, to be honest with you. I mean, you cannot dispute the signings of all the players that make up the 2011 2012 team, 20, even that period where Mancini was the manager, because everybody was had their talent. But if you were to ask me, uh okay, dude, for the Mancini era, okay, the
Yeah.
top three I would say was Aguero, David
Agree.
Silva, and Vincent Company. I
Listen,
mean, yeah. Even I mean, Vincent Company was a Mark Hughes signature, was a Mark Hughes signing lah. I
Signing,
mean,
yeah.
granted, but I think Company was that player when we brought in was supposed to be a defensive midfielder, but Mark Hughes saw the potential that he could lead from the back. You know,
Mm.
so I feel that if you're talking about that era where Mark Hughes, Mancini, before we won the title in 2012, for me, that's the three most important players. I mean, like I said, it's very hard for me to choose because I think 2011 we won the FA Cup
Yeah.
with Yaya Toure. I would not discredit Yaya Toure, but Yaya Toure's antic with the birthday cake drama in a way sour that point. So it's really
ah,
difficult for us to choose like who is the best, like which is the player that make up the era. Yeah. So
Okay.
for me, I'm just going to say top three: Company, David Silva, Aguero.
Okay. Helmi?
to me, same as well. I mean, these three players is basically like what Haizam is saying. The company before when he came to City, it really we don't really expect him to be become what he became as he's being a leader. So, I mean, I see him like a normal player,
Mm.
but when Chini took over, and slowly we can see what he is made of. He's a true leader, and
Mm.
David Silva. I think when during his first season, he wasn't really much of a threat to opponents, but
Hmm.
second season he was breaking it. You know, he was like they call him Almago, like the magician. Basically, he's
Yes, Salmago.
and then Aguero definitely a name that no fan should ever forget. Basically, he,
For
he
sure.
start he play his heart out. I mean, it's not only his talent, the way he played, hardworking striker up front, chasing for the ball. Even
Mm.
even after some team, he got to adapt to the way Pep is playing. You know,
Mm.
uh, he still is there until the end, where he finally move on. So basically, I can say he's truly a legend, lah. Like David and company. Hence, I think
It's,
yeah,
it's really difficult. Yeah, I think with Hilmi, and I think if you ask the old City fans, right? Like I think that period 2011 2012, everybody that make up the first 11 in City, right, was
yes,
important in their own role.
Mm.
I cannot say that Mika Richards was not important. Cannot
Yeah.
say Joe Hart is not important.
Yeah.
I would say Nigel De Jong. No,
Mm. Nah.
without
Yeah.
Nigel De
Nigel
Jong,
De Jong. Yeah.
that build up, we won't see the tenacious of defense. How defensive the defense line for City. Everybody had a play, but to us, City fans, like, okay, name top three of the Mancini, Mark Hughes Mancini era till where you are right now. We'll be spoiled for choice. Really, we are really gonna be spoiled for choice. Like, who do we choose? Like
Yeah.
for me, seeing David Silva was the closest that City had for King Clancy, you know.
Yeah.
And
True.
this time
True.
round, we had the players that could
Compliment him.
rise up to compliment him to rise to his level. Compared to when that point when we had King Klazi. King Klazi was a luxury.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that period of the Abu Dhabi money is very hard to us for City fans to name your ultimate City player, because even within the City ranks, right? I think we will have that debate of how can you rate this player more than this player? How can you rate this player more than this player?
It's like
Mm.
I mean, he's a City through and through. I mean, basically, he bled City as well. The
Mm.
Baleta is the outstanding
Ah,
players. So, yeah, I
Okay.
mean, he played his heart out. I mean, every match, even though uh, he don't have the coach team anymore, he still played his heart out. But and I cannot even forget also Edin Dzeko. He even though
mm.
he there for a while, but basically it's quite significant in being there. So
Yeah.
during that 11, 12, there's too many names. Just say
Yes.
basically all of them.
2011, yeah, it's very difficult.
A
2011,
lot, a lot of
2012,
good
that's what.
memories for you guys, right? A lot of I can understand the sentiment. And you got you
The
can probably name about what 15 players, 14, 15 players that are significant, right?
Yeah.
yeah, whole squad was like together. So
Mm.
yeah,
Mm.
that was
But okay, we talk about all these good players, good signings you've made. Anyone you felt was a failed signing in that time? That someone you sign and this guy shouldn't be here.
uh,
For me, Savic, Stefan Savic.
So, uh,
Can't blame him because he came to City when he was 2021. I would unfortunately, because the adjustment to the English league was too great for him. You
mm,
know, so I mean at the point of time it was frustrating to see him start games actually.
mm,
Because he will definitely make mistake. Mangala was another one.
uh,
Well, yeah. So for every David Silva, we have one player or two players that didn't rise up to the expectations, lah. Even like we can say Claudio Bravo. We can even can go to that the extent. So, but here's the thing, because I think with managers and also the footballing culture of players coming to England is very hard for them to adapt. So like Jovetic was a player that had potential, but I think because
yeah.
being injury prone, I think that took a lot out of him lah, to the
Mm,
point that he didn't fulfill his potential actually. Yeah.
mm,
But if you were to ask me, I think it's a toss up between Savic and Mangala for me lah.
mm. Okay. Helmi, yourself?
I mean, yeah, Jovetic, basically Jovetic.
Jovetic.
Then no,
So,
right,
Balotelli, for you guys, what do you felt about him? Good?
so right. I mean, I mean, I I I like him being at City. You know, uh, he's like I don't think if he's not at City, I don't think Mika Richards will have a good time. I mean Mika
Yeah.
to the team and having Balotelli there. I mean it's like add a bit of spice into the squad.
Okay.
So uh, with eccentrics and everything, but I think good thing being City to have someone like him in the club add more news to City. Uh,
Yeah.
in the
More,
name, it's good for City anyway. Into
more
something,
attention, more publicity, right?
I mean,
Yeah. I think for me, Balotelli is the maverick that type of players that that make football watching football entertaining.
yeah, yeah.
I think
Like,
yeah, he's granted he's not a world class player, but uh you got to give him credit lah. I think for City, I think the fact that his only one and only assist in 2012 was that assist. Who could actually, if you ask like you ask anyone, how many players can claim that? Like my one assist in a season as a footballer, professional footballer, is the assist that the most important assist in the club's history. I
Yeah.
that's
mean,
why
who can say that?
Mm. History
That's why for
making.
me, I cannot, I for one cannot hate him. You know, I mean like he brings that the interest of, you know what, this is the prima donna, this is the prima donnas that we need to have in football. You know, like a player, you know, who thinks that he is full of himself, but he does better than any armchair footballers can do. You know, just
Mm.
because the fact that he comes in with the baggage. So I think I'll give him that free pass lah. You know, as a City fan, I would never, I would never uh, be able to hate him. You know, he didn't show his potential, but
Mm.
because of that assist, you know, he created that history. You know, that was something that no one can take away. You know, nobody can take away that he is the part of that history of making that assist, one assist of his career that season, that really bring that history to the club.
Yeah. Fair enough, fair enough, fair point. I think on his day he can be unplayable. I've seen that
Mm.
myself. So it's just unfortunate we don't see it often. That's the only gripe that we have against Balotelli. And we would say a wasted talent because he could have achieved so much more in his career than he eventually did. I mean, he's still playing, but it's not at the level we expected of him.
Mm.
Kind of for Turkish club, you know. I think
Yeah,
he's
he's
playing
playing for
the,
Turkish club, correct? Yeah,
uh,
so
the
he's
other day.
playing the Turkish league. Yeah, he made a brief return to the Italian national team, but couldn't stay there.
Yeah,
So
that was
yeah,
my opinion.
yeah. So right, guys, thanks a lot for sharing your memories. I hope I did well enough to jog down memory lane for you too. Good memories and bad because I think the new City fans or whoever is supporting and watching football today will not appreciate what the old City fans like yourself had to go through to enjoy times like today, right?
Just remember, you know, as a City fan, whether you're old or new, especially the new ones, drama is typical City. Remember
Yes.
that, you know, when it comes to City, typical City, we will never make it easy for us. Even if you talk this the new season, you know, like Pep, you know, Pep's era, we'll call it Pep's era. You know,
Mm,
just be assured that there will always be drama. Without
mm,
drama, there's no fun in supporting football. You know, it becomes robotic.
mm, true. So let's see what new drama awaits City next season then. All right, guys. Thanks for taking your time out to speak to us. It's been a pleasure, and it's really an honor to speak to the two of you, real old school City fans, City through and through. It's me, Ras, signing out from Backpass with Ras. Ciao.